Climbers, if you want to write hit songs, you need to get really good at writing commercial songs. And today, I'm going to share 6 simple ways to make your songs more commercial. So I'm in it to help you win. Johnny, do your thing.
Welcome to the club. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. This podcast exists because we want you to win, and leverage is what you're going to need to make that happen. That's why we call the climb C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. It's so simple. It's a Baxtronym. It's by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter. I just said that with a belch in my throat. Sorry.
Brent Baxter.
Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. He's had a couple number ones last year in Southern Gospel. Got the wheels turning with cuts this year, too. We'll see where that leads us. What I love about Brent is that he helps songwriters like you learn how to be pro, helps you become pro by revealing how to write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then on the regular, he's going to introduce you to the pros. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S. There is no S because there is no other. Johnny D.
6 new ways to help my songs be more commercial.
That's right. 6 simple ways, although simple doesn't always mean easy.
Simple. Well, okay.
But simple.
All right. I think a lot of people need to hear this information.
I know I need to be reminded of it from time to time. They say if you want to learn something, teach it. So that's another reason I do this podcast, to be honest.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, before we get into that, let's take care of a little business here. We are proud as peacocks to be a part of American Songwriter Magazine's podcast network, ASPN. You can find that at americansongwriter.com/podcast. And guys, there's 15 shows here. It's all about songwriting. It's all about music business. It's all about production and all the verticals that you need to move your stuff forward. It's all right there in one spot. They have a brand new feature that you can subscribe to, by the way, called Suncast, which is the link for that is americansongwriter.com/Suncast, right, Brent?
Yes, and that's SUN cast, as in Sunday, because every Sunday they send the top 5 podcast episodes from the American Songwriter Podcast Network right into your inbox. So Sun, as in Sunday cast. And we're thankful that we've been in it for, they deemed us one of the top 5 for several weeks in a row now. We're going to try and hang in there. Hang in there like a tick in a waistline.
I love it. Yeah, guys, it's absolutely free, and it's just kind of a curator thing, so you can just focus on the big hitters that week, and that way it gets overwhelming to look at 15 shows, so they're kind of curated that whole Songcast thing to make it a little bit easier to consume for them. Right. So good job there. Join the C.L.I.M.B community on Facebook. It's facebook.com/the C.L.I.M.B community. It is a thriving, always growing community of singers, songwriters, indie artists, indie musicians, helping each other out, supporting each other, working with each other, creating co-writes, getting different promotion ideas. It is a safe community, meaning that you can come in, and I can safely say that we probably got like a 99.9% no spam BS kind of thing happening in here. A couple people slip through and they get Roadhouse because we protect our community with vigor and attitude and brawn and
right, don't come in there messing.
And so we, if you got something to add to this community, something cool that you heard about, saw, became aware of, read, you got a link, you want to share it, that's helpful to the whole community, please do so. Post at any time. If it's about you specifically, about you as a songwriter, about you as an artist, or something like that, we want to hear about that too. We just have very specific places to put it so that it keeps it clean and everybody knows where to go to find the good stuff and to find the different stuff and all that. So you're going to
That's right.
find the gig alert is going to be every Thursday morning typically, and Wednesday we have New Heights, and that's where we talk about your wins. And you
Hmm.
got, hey, this thing happened or that thing happened or this is amazing or that is amazing. We want to hear about it under New Heights. Brett, what do we got going on there?
All right, I got a couple new ones here. So this is just a fun place where we encourage you to share your wins and we celebrate with you. So not only do I love reading the wins each week, but I love the comments under it, people encouraging each other and celebrating. That's why it's the Climb community. So this one we have is by Patrick Adams. Says, well, I have to post about some good news received today. It's another step in the rung for the Amigos. So the Amigos are Brad Hacker, Chris Tiscarino, and Patrick Adams. He says, along with some guy named Brent Baxter, had a song forwarded to the re-listen pile for an artist team. So that was actually was it Drink You on My Mind?
Oh, really?
One you're a fan of, yeah. So it's getting some like, ooh, let's listen again. We'll send that on to the team. So we'll see. We'll see.
I
But we're
told you
working.
that song is if it doesn't happen on this one, it's going to happen sometime. That song is going to get cut. That's just too much of a fun ambush not to not to cut that. Like everybody's going to think like, oh, we know what this is going to be about. You're wrong. Why? Because that was a song titled "Challenged"
That's
by
right.
the
We count
Amigos
the
plus
crap out of it.
the three Amigos plus Brent Baxter,
Mm-hmm.
and
So,
it got all twisted up. They went a different route, and then boom, it's gold. And it starts off with the most insane hook you've ever heard. It was
mhm.
brilliant.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was fun. So, but he says, but that's not all. They also had two other songs forwarded to two different artists for another listen as well. Now I know it's not a hold and it's not a cut, but it's one more step on the journey. I'm celebrating every milestone, no matter how small, because it's about the journey anyway for me. Hope you guys are having a great week and keep on climbing. We'll see you down the road. So that's from Patrick Adams. So that's
Way to
awesome.
go,
Fun
amigos.
to hear. Yes, and another let's see, climber here, Bill O'Hanlon. We know Bill. It says, waiting on the sync contract for a song of mine that was placed in a movie for $12,000. So nice win.
Nice.
And also, he finished his 303rd song for the year yesterday, as of this recording. So by the time you hear it, he's probably up at like around 4,000 songs for the year.
Wow.
So congratulations, Bill. Congratulations, Patrick, and good luck to both y'all and everyone else, man. Let us know those wins so we can celebrate.
Heck yeah. Heck
Yeah.
yeah. Way to go. All right. So, guys, subscribe or follow the podcast. Sorry, I just had a major sneezing fit right now. So hold on. I don't think I have any more under. Subscribe or follow the podcast where whatever platform you're on. Make sure you get all those episodes in there and tell a friend about it. You're with us for a reason. It's working for you. You're getting information. You're getting whatever it is, whatever itch we're scratching, man, share that with a
Mhm.
friend. You know what I'm saying? Share that with a friend. That's what we want to do. All
I
right.
wouldn't
So
recommend that in your personal life or over spring break. If something's itchy, you probably should keep it to yourself.
see a doctor.
See a doctor, maybe share it with the doctor, but no one else. But when it comes to the podcast, if it's itchy, then share it. So anyway, sorry that threw me.
That's awesome. I love that you were the one that said that once again. Nick, I'm becoming more of an angel. You're becoming a little bit more of an outlaw. I
No,
like
I'm just saying it more.
that. Well, there you go. Oh, I heard that. Mic drop.
Well, yeah, I'm just how it is.
So
Oh,
six simple ways to make your songs more commercial.
that is true. Yes. If your goals are like mine, which is getting cuts, getting hits, that sort of thing, then your best bet is by writing well crafted commercial songs. So I want to share six simple, and simple doesn't always mean easy, ways to make your songs more commercial. Speaking of which, I wrote a song one time called Simple is Hard. And
Uh, ah,
yeah, got a cut with an indie artist. But yeah, anyway, it's simple, but sometimes simple is hard. So don't be scared and don't be overconfident. Either one. So we're just going to share these for you, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you on your climb. First one is write up tempo. Johnny, this kind of goes back to that coffee mug incident
mhm.
in the parking lot behind Daredevil Production,
How
the
we
Rag
how
Hop
we first
Studio,
met.
and how
How we
that
first
first
met.
conversation of ours, I remember we're sitting outside, and I had this one of those because I was working at Starbucks at the time, so I got a deal on one of these coffee mugs that you could do like dry erase on the mug, then it fit inside the plastic sleeve, so you could write messages and stuff, and you could see it through the plastic, and you have your coffee in there. So I
Yeah.
started writing these reminders to myself, based on study and getting my teeth kicked in on writing and doing this different stuff. And so I was writing these reminders out, and so Johnny and I are sitting on out. I think you're out in the parking lot. We're talking, getting
Mhm.
to know each other, and you're staring at that coffee mug every once in a while. And finally,
Trying to be cool because it's like, "This is Brent Baxter,
like
hit songwriter. I gotta be cool. I gotta play it cool. We're cutting one of his songs. I wanna be professional. I
yeah,
wanna
we're all
come
over
off
that now.
like the
Um,
man." Yeah, we're way past that.
way past that. Now you know me, and but you asked me about it, and basically what it said were these things. It's funny how these have not changed in the years, because this is back before. This was like 2012, probably
Yeah,
when we were working on the Matt Klein
yeah.
record. It was like 2012.
Mhm.
Uh, these have not changed in the
Yep.
past almost decade, which is crazy, Johnny. We're coming up on a decade as friends.
Ah,
Anyway, wow. Anyway, blew my own mind there. So
MBS.
that's right. So, first one is write up tempo. Okay, you need to learn to write tempo. If you don't believe how important this is, count the ballads on the radio for an hour. Or,
Or
here,
go a deep dive, do it for 24 hours. Stay
exactly.
up and count the ballots. It's gonna be the same number, I'll bet.
Yeah. Or to pull up, your American Country Countdown, or your Billboard Hot 100, or whatever your genre happens to be. I think more, country, but man, it's really the same in any genre, I bet. So
Yep.
Or just, listen to a few of the current top albums and count the ballads. Knock knock,
Who's there?
math. There's a
Oh, I
throwback.
don't like math, that's truth.
I know math is true. So math says they cut a lot more up tempo and mid tempo than they do ballads.
Yep.
The way I look at this, if you think about, I have this thing I kind of nicknamed the chain of demand. What do the fans want? Oh, they're the ultimate end, right? If we take care of the fans will take care of us, whether we're a songwriter or an artist or label or what. So what do the fans want? Usually they show up to a live show. What do they want to have? They want to have a good time, right? They want to have a
Mhm.
party. They want to forget about the week that's behind them. They want to forget about the week that is coming up. They want to have a good time. And what helps them have a good time? Tempo, right?
Mhm.
So what does the artist want to do? They want the fans on their feet. Why? Because if they're on their feet, they're already up, and they can just go to the bar and make the bartender happy, and the owner, so they can get back, or they can walk over there to the merch table since they're already on their feet. They want them having a good time. All right,
Yep.
so math says most of their show is mids and up tempos, right?
Yep.
I remember hearing a story about Brad Paisley or something that he was needing more tempo stuff because he worked so hard to get them on their feet for a show. And then you play a ballad. What happens?
They sit down.
They sit down or they go to the bathroom or something. Yeah. And then you got to work and get them on their feet again.
Yep.
So I remember seeing Mark Wills in concert at the Riverfront Amphitheater in Little Rock, Arkansas, back before I moved to Nashville. So this is like 2001 or something, or maybe it was like right after I moved. I think I was back home. So it was like 2002. I was home for a weekend for Riverfest or something. And I saw him. And, Mark Wills, great singer. A lot of hits, but most of them are kind of ballads. He's kind of a crooner, balladeer. That's kind of his, you know, what he is probably most known for. Some of his ballads, except for 19 something. It's a song of his that was a big moment in his show. Uh, but I remember him doing some covers of like Eagles' "Life in the Fast Lane" and doing some
Yep.
covers to get some tempo in the show. Because his hits, I mean, he recorded tempo, but his hits so far have been largely ballads. So even he knew, like, I'm taking out some of my own songs to play covers because it's energy. I got to get the tempo and the energy up. So,
Yeah.
and also, what does radio play? The radio plays mostly tempo because most of your singles are what you're going to play at the live show, and your singles are in a way a commercial for the live show. So come on out to the live show. We have a good time. I'm going to prove it by releasing a single that's fun and tempo and or rocks or whatever. So man, just do the math. Most stuff is mid or up tempo. The more that you write, the better. And it's hard to do well. I mean, I do these publisher events, and I interview different publishers and producers, and like, what do you need more of? Great up tempos, because it's hard to do well. There's a song that we had at the Play for Publisher event that we just did, John Ozier, and one of these the song by a guy named Scott Miller, and he goes, "Man, that's a great, fun tempo song." And he goes, "And those aren't easy to write." Like he's heard enough of them from his writers. Like that's not easy to do. Like that's great to do one that's just fun and tempo and feels good. Like those aren't as easy as you think. They always need more great ones. So if you can provide that, that's a man, that could be a win for you. And actually, I in between podcasts, right before we hopped on this, I got an email from a climber. Want to know if there's going to be a replay of the event we have going on at Songwriting Bro, and also I don't want to miss it. I'm at band practice because we're taking, like Johnny suggested, we're taking some of these ballads I've written and we're turning them around.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, yeah. Johnny
Oh my
Matt,
god, I wanna hear it. I wanna hear both, I wanna hear both
both
versions of
versions.
that, Johnny Matt. Like, I wanna hear the previous version and, like, okay, I'm where do we put that, Brent? Like, I want him to post that in the
We
climb
have a
community if he's willing to do it. Like, post the original song
mhm.
and then post, like, "Okay, here's what we did with the tempo," just to show people how different it is, you
Yeah,
know?
we have Tempo Tuesdays that we hopefully post in there in the Climb community every Tuesday. I
Okay.
got my buddy Connor working on that, and so Tempo Tuesday, drop your before and after.
Love it,
Drop your
yeah.
before and after. So you can just
Let's
play it
see it.
live, or you can drop the links or whatever you want to do, so we can see the different versions of it, is fun to see what that does. Uh,
Yep, and just the same thing, it's like, you know what? Like, when you do a tempo version of your own ballad, you're not forsaking it, man. It's like your own remix, right?
yeah,
It's like a different way to do it. You don't ever have to let go, or you're not gonna, like, sort of bastardize or sully the old
mhm,
one. Like, if that's the way it should be, then it'll be like that, but you just might surprise yourself at, like, "Wow, this is freaking really awesome with some tempo on it," and
yeah.
you know, we love this. So I think I love man, I'm so glad that he's doing that.
Yeah, so that was awesome to see that right before we hit the red button here. So good luck, Johnny Matt, and keep on
Mhm.
climbing. So right up tempo. So that's again, it's simple, but it may not be easy if that's not your normal, um, the way you want to do it. That's not your normal direction that you naturally flow in. And I know it as a lyricist, it hadn't always been that way for me, but now I'm making an effort to go, when I song title challenge my own titles, going, how can this be a tempo? How can this, hit some of these other points that I'm going to say, and then you get more of them, then you have more of them to bring into co-writes, and now, man, most of what I write is mid or up tempo
Hey, I got
because
something to add to
I
that. This is
decided
a
to.
perspective I haven't thought about. Is like, you know, there's a lot of songwriters in this town who kind of came up because they initially sort of got in this camp of an
Hmm.
artist, and that artist broke,
Yeah,
right? And so when that artist breaks, then they're gonna, you know, they're gonna want to keep some of that formula, the magic formula, in there, and keep writing with those people, right?
oh for sure, yeah.
So even if I mean, you're speaking about, like, from a universal perspective, but let's say that because this is a real world example, like, let's say you get hooked up with a specific artist and, you know, hopefully you're writing with a bunch of artists and you're making all
Hmm.
that happen. One of those artists breaks and you're, like, in that inner circle now, and if all you're doing is writing ballads, then maybe you're gonna get 1 song on that record.
Yeah, even if
But
you're their
if you're
go-to
writing
ballad
tempo
person.
songs, maybe you're gonna get 3 or 4 songs on that record, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and then the show, I mean, you know, when you're talking about, like, a high energy kind of a show, there's gonna be some ballads in there, they're typically gonna be grouped together, it's gonna
Hmm.
create a moment because it's gonna be so much different than the rest of the show, it's gonna be up-tempo, and so it's gonna be this moment that you never remember, and by the way, because they create such moments, I think that's why they imprint on our souls, you know,
Yeah.
when we see that, but, it's like, you know, that guy's going out playing that artist, you know, that guy or girl's going out playing in front of 10,000 people each night. You're making money on that. You wanna make it on 4 songs? You wanna make it on 1? Like,
Yeah.
I mean
Well, I have a couple things on that too. So one is, one thing I've been trying to do, and I haven't been great about doing it. It's just time, but look up on YouTube or wherever I can, live concert footage. Like if I can get a complete show of an artist, like
mhm,
an hour set of a major artist, and watch it from start to finish, even if it's a bad angle from out in the crowd. I don't need to know their dance moves. I need to know what songs they're playing, what they're doing in between, what their vibe is. So I
mhm,
found one for Jake Owen. So it was like an hour concert or something. It was like one ballad,
mm,
and it was his current single. I think it was. Made
We
for
All
You.
Want What We Ain't Got. Oh, I
It
made
was,
for you.
I don't think he played that one. I think he played, Made for You, and What We Ain't Got is a fantastic song by
Yep.
Travis Meadows, the writer, and it was a hit for Jake. But no, I think the only one, like, so he's all tempo and down to the honky tonk and fun mids and up tempos and Barefoot Blue Jean Night and all this stuff going crazy, and um, Days of Gold and all this energy. Then boom, they bring it down, and he just grabs the guitar and he walks out in the crowd, and has that moment of just him playing and singing that ballad acoustic, which
Uh,
was a current single, and but that was like the only ballad, and so they really made it a moment. And then boom, lights back up and rocking.
wow. Okay, so hold on. This just hit me like a 2-ton heavy thing. Like,
Everything. You and your way with words. Yes.
so, like, if you put, like, 1 ballad on each record and that's sort of your business model, like, "Okay, I hear what you're saying, Johnny and Brent, uh, but I still got all these ballads. I'm gonna get, like, one of those ballads on one of those records."
Hmm.
If you're writing the tempo songs, that's gonna be a classic. They're gonna keep coming back to that. Every single
Yeah.
new tour, new release, that song's gonna be in the repertoire, or those tempo songs are gonna be in the repertoire. But if you got the ballad, it might be different this tour than the tour
Yeah.
before because they got a new single that's a ballad that's out, and then the other one is gonna be forsaken because we can't put too many ballads in the show. I never
Yeah.
even thought about it like
It's the
that.
same thing on radio. I was blessed with Monday Morning Church. It is a ballad.
Mhm.
And Alan Jackson, top 5. For one, even Alan Jackson couldn't push you can't push every ballad up to number 1. Okay,
Yep.
so first of all, there's that. We went, like,
Yeah.
number 4. Um, and so it's like, that's not getting the recurrence that, like, Living on Love is, or, like the
Chattahoochee.
recurrent spins, not like the Chattahoochee or a lot of that stuff, not because, I mean, you know, it deeply connected with a lot of people. I'm very blessed. I still see some stuff online about it and how some people it's their favorite Alan Jackson song, and that's awesome. And quite, I'm very thankful for that. But every quarter, I'm reminded that what, that's not getting spun as much as 5 o'clock somewhere, and those are great songs. So it's not like, oh, my song's better, but no, those are great songs and they're worthy of every spin they get. But they're gonna lean more toward the the tempo than the ballads for those recurrent, you know,
Yeah.
airplay on those classic artists. And even though they've had, you know, hits of tempo and hits of ballad, it's gonna get more. And same thing in the show is, boy, Alan only has so much time in a show, and he's
Yep.
got all these hits. How many ballads do you think he's gonna play? That's
Mhm.
even more limited real estate.
Yep.
So, man, I'm thankful for that. Hey, I'd take one of those every year,
Yep.
but a tempo single that, same chart position at the beginning or whatever, it probably is going to have longer legs.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's something to think about,
Yep.
and there's more spot for those. So tempo, tempo, tempo. If you to get a ballad cut, it has to be like phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal, and the
Yep.
up tempos just have to be like extremely great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Different. There's a difference. Yeah.
there's a difference. All right. So point number 2 is write positive. This was also on that coffee mug. Up tempo,
Mhm.
positive. So if you're like me, your natural inclination might be to write something sad or negative. Not that I'm a negative type person, but that's just, man, when I started writing, it was because so and so didn't like me back, or the unrequited. If you're happy, just go be happy. If you're sad, that's what spills out on the page usually at the beginning. It's my catharsis, my self therapy, it's whining, it's whatever. Or those ballads, those heartbreak ballads that you come up on that just killed you because, like, oh my gosh, I like this girl, and Vince Gill came out with Whenever You Come Around.
Mhm.
Or these things that you're just like, oh my gosh, it just hits so deep, right? And so that's a lot of what comes out for a lot of writers at the beginning. Not always, but a lot of us. Um, so maybe pain is more interesting than happiness, but not for radio. Radio likes a positive. They want you to be happy because the listener is happy, and they keep listening through to the craft distillery, commercials, and the local car lot commercials. That's what radio makes money. They want you feeling good and listening. And, as Ralph Murphy, he was a legend in Nashville, worked at ASCAP for years, and hit songwriter. And he had, Murphy's Laws. And I think I remember playing him a ballad years ago, back before I'd ever had any cuts or anything. He was nice enough to give me some time over at ASCAP, and I played him something. And he's like, "Who's going to want to hear that at 7 in the morning? Excuse me, I have my own problems." you
Mm,
know?
yeah,
yeah, because it was some whiny ballad, I'm sure. And that's, that's something to think about. Most of the time we love a ballad, but it's like you can't, you know, fill the whole plate with that. It was nothing but ballad. I mean, sometimes I could listen to that, all day, but still you're in the car. Most people want to hear some tempo, tap their toes, not even care about what you're saying. Just get me from point A to B with a smile on my face. So
yeah,
positive is super important. Um, for artists, for again, you go back to the show, the chain of demand. The listener, most of the time, they want to feel good. They want to have a smile on their face. They want to have a good time at a show, and artists want to provide that, and they want to put that out on the radio, so people are more likely to come to the show and buy a ticket. And so, therefore, that's most of what they're going to cut on a record because they want those spins. And so if I'm providing that, there's more of a chance to win with
yeah,
positive. And not
yeah,
and as Johnny would say, not for nothing. If you can take what those maybe negative sounding titles come to you more often, guess what? We have a fix for that. It's called Song Title Challenge.
that's
You
right.
take that son of a gun and you go, how could this be a positive? How could this be a positive? I was doing one yesterday for my personal song title challenge, so I'm somewhere in the 2000s. I'm going through and I picked the prettiest ugly duckling in there and song title called I Could Do Better. Okay, what could this be about? Well, I could do better than these worn out blue jeans, that are I could wear some nice stuff, but say what could I do better? Well, how do we make it a love thing? I could do better with how I treat you. I could do better, loving you and treating you right. Like, yeah, that's my.
Yeah,
So what I did was like, I could do better than these blue jeans. I could dress up nicer or whatever, but there's no way I could do better than you.
yeah,
you know, uh,
yep,
I could do better at this gig I got. Get a bigger paycheck if I had the shot and corner office and blah blah blah. But there's no way I could ever do better than you.
yeah.
Yeah, and so you make it a
Now it's
positive thing.
positive.
Now
Yeah,
it's not like the singer now isn't the guy that, like all of us, fails at times to be perfect, right? I could do better. Yeah, it's not that it's not true. I could do better at loving my wife. Who couldn't? Be a better person. We None of us have topped out, right? There's always
yep,
room for improvement. Um, so it's not that it's not true and not relatable, but it's not nearly as commercial. But if I make it, I could do better at these other areas, but I could never do better than you. Meaning I could never find anyone better for me than you, more wonderful than you. Then all of a sudden, the singer looks humble, thankful, putting the woman on a pedestal. Like, what girl doesn't want to hear that? Because first of all, she's probably going, "Yeah, you could dress a little nicer." Yeah, I agree with
mhm.
you on that other stuff. But for you to say I could
Those
never
blue
do better
jeans
than,
have seen better days. Yep.
yeah, but to say, I could never do better than you, girl. Wow. Okay, that's just more positive. Makes the singer look good, makes the listener feel good, the girl who's singing to feel good. Like, how does that
Mhm.
not win?
Yeah,
And it lends
yep,
itself more to like at least a mid tempo to a positive, to up tempo kind of thing, which makes the writing up tempo easier when it's a positive thing too, because you're
more
naturally going to want
chance
to
for
go there.
sync. Yeah, more
More chance
chance
for
for
sync.
sync.
Yeah, I mean, you can still write a positive ballad, but it makes more sense, right, to do up tempo. So
Yep.
that's writing positive. Number three, write from the me to you point of view, or like first person point of view, or direct address point of view, because singing I love you is just more emotionally powerful and impactful than he loves her. You might
Mhm.
hear he loves her in a song. You're like, okay, that's an interesting story song, but it's about these other people. Maybe I can relate to and kind of plug in emotionally here and there. But to sing, hear an artist singing I love you, man, if you want to connect to an audience, I and you is a good way to do this. And
Mhm.
so there's just this emotional immediacy and impactfulness that just, you know, hey, if you want to pretend that Dirks Bentley is singing to you and he's singing, it's a lot easier when if he's singing I love you than if you're a female listener that, and Dirks is singing I love her, you're like, who is this blankety blank woman? Who
Right.
is this bee? I don't like her. I don't like her. I want him singing to me. Right. If you wonder how, it's like it just makes more sense. It's more immediate. Or now sometimes you want to change it if you need to, because if it makes a singer look bad to be that guy, you can mess with different points of view and that sort of thing. Or maybe she hurt me is better than you hurt me because it has more of a positive impact on the listener. Like you're not calling them out as being a loser. But in
Or
general,
in the case of Tim Nichols with "Live Like You Were Dying," it's preachy
and
if it's first
confusing.
person.
Yeah, like Tim McGraw had a cancer scare and he went skydiving. What happened? Oh my gosh, I didn't read about this in Country Weekly. But
Yeah.
if you make it, Tim's still in
And
the
also,
song.
since he didn't have a cancer scare, it's unauthentic, right? Like,
Yeah,
it
like it would
could
be
piss off the people who really got cancer. Like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
exactly. Instead, he's just the fellow traveler who's relating this great bit of life advice that he heard from someone else.
Right, now it becomes inspirational. The same people that would have been pissed off if he was preaching to them about what they should do if they should have cancer, and he's never had cancer.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, this is what this dude told me, and wow, what a life
Yeah,
lesson I could apply to
that way it
myself.
hit me like, wow, yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
even
yeah,
on
yeah,
that, it went to the IU direct address in the chorus, even though it was a quote. I
I
went
went
skydiving.
skydiving, yeah.
And he said, "Someday
Good
I hope."
point,
Yeah, and
good
he
point.
because it was so much more impactful than he went skydiving. He went right.
Yeah,
You'd be like, "That's weird. Why are you so fired up about that, dude?" But if
yeah,
you're quoting him, it allows you to say that. And then at the end, it's like he said, "I hope someday you get the chance to live like you were dying." So it was direct
yeah,
address, like to the listener, even though he's quoting it. So the me to you is just try that. It's more emotionally impactful. It's a simple thing, but sometimes we don't think about these simple things. Just
yep.
pronouns, they matter, y'all. And well, that's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, won't step on that landmine. Pronouns
Too
matter.
late.
Yeah.
Too late. But, I think too, that's another exercise where you could take a song maybe that you already have, that you maybe particularly like, that's in third person, and just do a remix on it. Mess
Yeah.
around with it. What happens if you put it into first person? What changes?
Well,
How's it feel? Does it feel different?
okay, back to that I could do better. That I was song title
Mhm.
challenging. It was I could but there's no way I could do better than you. Right? That was I've trained myself enough. That's the default is I'm singing to the girl because it's a positive love song. That very easily some people might have been like, but there's no way I could do better than her. Right?
Yeah.
It makes
Which
sense. It's
seems
still
subtle,
subtle, but it's going to hit a little
but it's
different. It's
big.
still
Yeah.
positive. It's still love. It's still lifting up the woman and making the singer look good. But now you're not directly addressing, who are you talking to? You're not talking to your love. You're talking about your love and you're talking to someone else.
Mhm.
It's a little more emotionally removed than
Yep.
confessing your love for this girl. Now, with, you know, you're a little less likely to dedicate that song to your loved one or to play it and go, I thought of you. If it's, I can never do better than her versus there's no way I could do better than you. That you may learn to play it and sing it for her or do the, you know, was this say anything or whatever, where you're holding up the jukebox and you're playing it for her,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
it's what she wants to hear and it's what you want to say. And you can have that moment with direct address. So,
Yeah.
all right. So again, simple. Think about them. Make a little checklist. Write it on your own coffee mug. Next thing, and we've been all over this, but we just haven't pointed out. Write about love. So write up tempo. Write positive. Write from me to you. Write it about love because it's the most universal thing, right? It's often our greatest joy. It's our sharpest pain. Nothing really is more universal than wanting to love and be loved. Right,
Mhm.
that is a felt human need universal. And so that's why so many songs are about love because ultimately we want to impact people's emotions and what's more emotional than that universally, right?
That is one of the, and this maybe sounds like, I don't know, we're bastardizing creativity or something, or commercializing creativity, but well, that's exactly what this podcast episode is about. But um, the in advertising, you learn that there's three main verticals, period, that all commercials of all products that they're based on. It's
Mhm,
health, wealth, or love. One,
mhm.
two, three. Health, wealth, love. So
I've heard
things
it
that
put a much more crass way.
what's that?
Get paid, get laid, don't die.
Well, there you go. Get paid, get laid, don't
Don't
die.
die.
I mean, you know
Right.
what? Like, so the commercial version, the commercial of a Gillette razor is it's love. It's a love song. That commercial is a visual version of a love song because you got this super handsome man with a
Mm.
massive chin just jutting out, and he's in there, and his chest is all ripped, and he's like in his tidy whities, like shaving his face. And then when he's done, it always happens. Some hottie comes walking in, just
Showing
runs her hands
appreciation.
across his smooth face, and he's like, "All right, you know,
Yeah.
I am loved. Why? Because I have Gillette razors." Like it's
Mhm.
that universal. When you start looking for that on commercials that you try to skip past, and you're amazing at the crap that that they revert back to love. Folgers coffee, he always has a second cup of coffee. He never has a second cup of coffee at my house. Like at home, why is he having a second cup of coffee now? Like, oh, this is good coffee. It's better than hers. She won't be loved unless she gets the right coffee. I mean, it's so ridiculous, but it's like it wins, it works. Like that's what we want to hear about. That's what we connect to.
Well, it goes back to universal human needs,
Yep.
of which love is that's one of the biggies, you know?
Yep.
So and partly because here in the Western world, we're so blessed that, we have so much, you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food, shelter, like up toward the top of it, like, and you've got those basic needs covered, then you can start thinking more about love and acceptance and self-realization and that kind of stuff. It's like, um, we don't have to worry so much about food and shelter these days,
Mhm.
in general in the Western world, historically.
Yep.
So we can focus on this other stuff. We have
Yep.
time to think about it, which makes me think of how well off we are as a country that everyone's getting offended by these minor things. Like, wow, we're doing pretty well. We don't have bigger things to worry about. So
Yeah.
anyway, won't get into that. So
And then
right
they
about
go on
love,
they go on their $1,000 iPhone to bitch about capitalism and the
exactly.
disgust of Western society, and you're like, "Oh, all right, you don't see the irony there?"
Yeah, I bet 100 years ago they wouldn't have noticed if Facebook went out for a day.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't get
right.
good reception on the plow anyway. Anyway, behind the plow, I should say. Anyway, so write about love. All right, it's simple, and sometimes these things that we feel like, you may turn on the songs radio and go, oh, well, that's just so lame, or that's so trite, or that's so paint by numbers. And for one thing, it's not as paint by numbers probably as you think. It's really hard to do those things in an exceptional way. But like, I want to write about other things, and I've been tempted sometimes to and I love a good story song, or just write about other things that interest me. And you need to do that some to feed yourself as an artist and a creative for sure. But they may not be as generally as commercial as these big universal things to go like, all right, if you find yourself not writing about that very much about love, give it a shot. I mean, you probably do. Most people do, but that's just one of those things that just don't take it for granted.
Yep.
Write about love or the lack thereof, right? It's
Mhm.
all in that ballpark, but still positive love though. Boy, that's good if we can do that. All right. Number 5. So we got write up tempo, write positive, write from the me to you point of view, write about love. Number 5, write in the moment. So the present tense, like right now, has more power than the past or the future in general in songs. Like, you're killing me in that sundress usually beats you were killing me in that sundress. Or even to do another step about me to you point of view, she was killing me in that sundress. Right? There's power
Mm.
in the present. You're killing me in that sundress, girl. Is maybe kind of trite and cliche, but it's still more impactful than you were killing me in that sundress because it's right now. It's in the
Mhm.
moment. So you look at songs like um, say the house that built me. So it's an old song by this point, but the point is valid of um it wasn't just that 3-act play of like, hey, I was 8 years old and I put my hands in the cement on the front steps, and that was the house that built me. And then I was 16, I got caught sneaking out, I got grounded, but that's where I learned to play guitar, and I did my homework, and that's the house that built me, blah blah blah. No, it's like in the moment. She said, "Sir, I know you don't know me from Adam, but those handprints on the front steps are mine." Like, it's an in the moment story, and they're pointing out things from the past, but it's framed
Mhm.
as an in the moment, like I'm talking to you right now. Or that Jason Aldean song, "Tattoos on This Town," is a good example of writing in the moment in a song that could have been a 3-act play going, "Hey, I was I was a punk 14-year-old and spray painted, on the overpass or whatever. And well, we left tattoos on this town, and then we were 17, dragging Maine and burning rubber and leaving skid marks and putting tattoos on this town. No, they don't do that. All those like past story, blah blah blah. It's all present. Like, man, right over there we left that, and right over there we did that, and right over there we did that. Like, he's talking to us right now in the moment, and you still
Mhm.
get. So there's this air of like presentness about it, not just telling all the story. Let me tell you something that happened 20 years ago. It just feels more like he's walking around and giving us a tour of his hometown right now. Like, there's a difference to
It's
that.
from a nostalgic point of view as opposed to
I'm taking you
it
back to that
it
time. That
almost
was it.
feels I guess what I'm trying to say is it feels more nostalgic, right? Like
In a way, I just, at least right now, he's telling you the story in the moment, and he's not. It's all framed in a present conversation than like this big in depth. It's almost like snapshots of these little things versus like I'm telling you this whole story. There's just a
mhm.
different kind of framing it. So the more you can frame a lot of this stuff in the present. So instead of maybe, she left me, that hurts. Sorry. I bet you could wring out even more emotion if you're leaving me.
Yeah.
And how much more is, what can you dive into there in the moment and paint that picture?
I think of Bon Jovi, "I'll Be There For You." "I guess this time you're really leaving. I
Yeah.
heard your suitcase say goodbye." It's like,
Yeah. It wasn't like,
"Oh."
well, you've been gone a month now, but I would want you to
Yeah.
know I'll still be there for you.
Yeah.
It's just not as immediate. Literally,
Mhm.
because it's more past tense. And so, I mean, there's a place for those songs, but turn on the radio. Turn on the radio, whatever genre you're in. I bet you don't hear a lot of songs that happened in the past. Stuff is right now. Whether it's right now in the club, I'm dancing. Right now, I'm getting with you. Right now, I'm missing you. Right now, I'm leaving. Right
Yeah.
now,
"I
I'm
know the way you breathe, so I can tell you're not asleep right
right now. Not,
now."
I knew you weren't really sleeping last night.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking about that fight we had. Let's talk about it this morning. No, it's in your head right then.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just, and it helps clear a little bit of the logistical time clutter. Just make it right now. You don't have to worry about say, and then 5 years later,
Yeah.
I got a job and I'm working and let me get all the way back around. It kind of can clean up some of the logistics a little bit.
That's right. And give you some more space for furniture on that line.
Yeah. I mean, we did so Let's Fight. Okay. So that's the song Johnny was referencing. Song I wrote with Craig Campbell. You may know the artist, and Matt Klein, my brother-in-law, and who's also a good writer as well. He's more than just my brother-in-law. But anyway, so let's fight. And the thing of it is, the whole turn of it is, let's fight together for our love. Let's fight for our love together, not let's fight each other, right? So it could have been one of those 3-act plays. Like, here's a story from our relationship, early on, and you said, let's fight. Like something happened, we had some challenge in our relationship, then you said, let's fight. Say what we need to say tonight. I refuse to walk away. We can't keep going on like nothing's wrong. We're on the same side. So baby, let's fight. It
Mhm.
could have been a quote. And then, then we had kids and things were stressful and we were drifting apart. And then, I looked at you and said the same thing you said to me, let's fight, da, da, da.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
okay, makes sense, relatable. It's a lot of people go through that, and it makes all that stuff still the same message. But instead, we dove into the moment,
Mhm.
which allows you the time and space to really try and wring out the emotion. So instead of we were just getting to know each other, blah, blah, blah. Now it's, yeah, girl, I know the way you breathe, so I can tell you not to sleep right now. There ain't no sense in this. You've closed your heart just like a fist and shut me out. If we're going to get past what we're going through, there's only one thing to do. Let's fight. So you're
Yeah.
in that moment.
And that triggers the memory better for some reason. Like, I remember the first
Yeah.
time I heard that song because Kelly and I got one of our artists to cut it, and,
Smart guy.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
and just the first line too, same thing, his head just goes down, we were out, we're drunk. We're drunk, like, "Okay, now we're gonna play you this song, dude, that you gotta cut." And he's like, "Alright, let's hear it." And it's that first line comes out, "Girl, I know the way you breathe, so I can tell you're not asleep right now." He just went, "Oh, oh god," like and that's the first time I hear it too, like, I went immediately to the last time I felt that, right? The room, the girl,
Mhm.
everything. The picture was right there in those first 2 lines because I think it's triggered more when it's recounted in the moment because that's how we think,
Yeah.
kinda. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It puts you there, hopefully. That's the intention. And a nice little benefit of that is we never said what the conflict was or what they fought
Yeah,
about. The fact
yeah.
that you wanna use your mom's dishes and I don't like your mom or whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
That
It
allows
was
the listener to put their conflict in it and relate to it more because now
it was
you've sort of let that part of the canvas
we
white, so to
exactly.
speak,
So you can
blank.
fill in whatever it was, whatever it
Yeah.
is next time you hear the song, whatever it is, because that's not the what's important is we're there's some sort of conflict going on. We need to fight together for our love. That's the important thing. It didn't matter what they fought about. It could be a
Yeah.
thousand different things.
Yeah.
So diving into the moment, into the present.
It could have been said, "You look nice in those jeans today," and she's like, "What? I didn't look nice in the
Yeah,
jeans I wore yesterday?" Like
yeah, exactly. It's like I don't really want to hear that in a song, to be honest, or I don't want to be. It's like we didn't have to go there, so you can plug in, but we didn't leave it out. It's not a vague song. It's super specific with that imagery, like, but so we know what's happening, and you can just plug in your own stuff.
Mhm.
You can plug in your own before, you know, prequel.
You know what's interesting on that? There's just this we're getting a little off track here, but uh, uh, when when that triggered that memory for me, if you put a gun in my head, I don't remember what the hell we were fighting about. I just remember the feeling
Yeah.
of knowing I know she's not asleep. Her eyes are rolling around her head, and the wheels are turning, my
Yeah.
wheels are turning, and nobody's saying anything. And
Mm.
it's just that whole moment that was like in the first 2 lines, it was like boom. And that's it really is. It's the feeling, it's the
Yeah.
emotion of it that we remember. I can't remember the details. So the
Yeah.
details aren't even important. The emotion is what's important.
Yeah. Um, and so
I never
you
thought about it like
that's
that.
true. I mean, it's like, people may not remember what you said, but they'll remember the way you made them feel, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
which ironically, the way to unlock a lot of that in a song is with point number 6, which is write with imagery, write
Yeah.
with detail to get to the emotional truth to help them feel that. So it's really nice you're talking about that first line of "Let's Fight" because it's the imagery. Boom, took the artist right to that place,
Yep.
right there
Yep.
with imagery. Now, if we just said, "Girl, there's a conflict or we're not getting along," okay, intellectually
Yeah.
you understand that, right? You're like, "Well, I'm Johnny. I have life experience. I understand what that means to be in conflict with somebody.
Yeah, but I'm not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it, dude." But that
Yep,
image, you drop that in and it made you feel it, made the artist feel it. Like,
yep,
oh, that's the power of imagery. So it's picking and choosing your details. So we were very specific in that song about, even you close your heart like a fist and shut me out. Even that's a metaphorical image, but you can still hopefully see that and you get the sense of like anger, um, shutting someone out, a fist, speaks of conflict and stuff, even though it's a metaphorical image, not a literal one, like I can tell, I know the way you breathe is a literal concrete image. It's a sound. It's, you see them in bed that way.
mhm,
So we didn't dive into all the before, but we're definitely had a lot of imagery um,
yeah,
in that song. And same thing with Monday Morning Church. Same thing with everything I've had cut, partly because I write that way on purpose, but also I think that's what helps get those songs cut. I had a Randy Travis cut, a song called Every Head Bowed. It was on his Around the Bend record. And it's from the point of view of an 8-year-old boy in church. It's just mid tempo. It's funny. It just leaves you with a smile on your face. It's like a little slice of nostalgia stuff and imagery all over it. I wrote it with Brandon Kinney, who's had a ton of hits. And um, there's a line in there where after church they go to KFC because this is like my hometown. It's a good day if after church you get to go to the KFC and you got out of church faster than the Catholics, so you try to beat the Catholics there. And so we put
to
that in
the
there.
to the KFC drive-through line?
Oh, no, like, we're going in. It's nice, but it's like
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
like,
This is fancy. We're dressed up. We're gonna go in and sit down.
it says, "Hit the door as the service closed, hop in the car, burn up the road to the KFC because 'cause we're gonna beat the Catholics there."
Uh,
because that would be a funny thing. Sometimes our church was like right across the street from the Methodist church, down across Main Street, and so you'd get out and maybe they're still there. We're like, we beat them out,
yeah.
just one of those dumb little things, whatever. So that's where that came from. Just taking life experience to go, we're going to beat and Catholics just saying better than Methodist. We're going to beat the Catholics there. But there's a line that says, "Amazing Grace, put that spork back down." Like basically, put the food down. Put your spork down while we're praying. And we said spork. And
Yeah.
when was the last time you heard spork in a song? Right? It was this
Never.
image that's so KFC, that's so brings an authenticity. Like you just know,
Uh-huh.
like, well, they've been to KFC. You don't even question it. It makes that moment more real. And also, one of the fun things about that is now Brandon, he wasn't sure if like people would get what spork is. Like, oh
Mhm.
no, I'm like, we already said it's KFC. We're talking about chicken and mashed potatoes in there. It's like they know what a spork is. Come on, people know. He's
Mhm.
like, I don't know. And so we went around the publishing office and like asked people. We did like an impromptu survey. Do you know what a spork is? Yes, one of those little spoon fork things. Okay, thank you. Got enough of those that you know
He said yes.
that we put spork in there. They had the same
And
conversation over at the label apparently.
then he cut it, yeah.
And
I was
so
gonna
when
say.
Randy cut it, he changed it to fork, which
Uh,
I still love you, Randy. I still love you. I was a little disappointed in you there because they were worried that people wouldn't understand. Now, I was talking to, I think, Rebecca or maybe Chris Lace or someone over at the label later over at Warner Brothers. And they're like, oh, I can't believe you took that out. That was my favorite line in the song, like the
yeah.
spork song. Like people
Yeah.
kind of knew it as the spork
Sports.
song because there was and it was just in the second chorus. So it was only said one time in the whole song, but it hit people real enough and different enough, and it fit the tone of the song because it's tongue-in-cheek song. It's funny, and it's just for laughs and entertainment and nostalgia. That yeah, they kind of called it the spork song. And then a couple years later, I was out at Scoreboard over on Music Valley Drive, and Randy was there because after the premiere of this movie he did with James Dupre, James and I are budding writers and stuff. So we went out there, and some of Randy's band is there and stuff. And so I'm talking to this guy, and somehow it comes up, about Every Head Bowed. He's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so great! You should see the look on people's faces when we play that in a church." He's like, "It's priceless." He's like, "Come here, hey, I want you to meet my wife." And he's like, this is Brent. He wrote Every Head Bowed, and she has this look like, hmm. He's like, it's Randy's. He said, he's like, it's the Twinkie song. She's like, oh my gosh, I love that song. So there's a line in the first verse about, he's hungry, his stomach's growling in church, this little kid at church. But I was saved by a month-old Twinkie in my corduroy coat. When every head bowed,
Yeah.
every eye closed. Mentioned one time, and she knew it as a Twinkie song. And she had no idea what he was talking about until he said, "Is the song with the Twinkie?" Oh, so
That's
these
so funny.
images can be these little hooks in your song that people will remember. Um, and of course, we remember, we all want to see the video in our head. I love it when a song makes me, show me the video. Like,
Yeah.
don't make me do homework to plug in my own details. Give me even if your details are different, that's
Yeah.
fine. Um, I think of The Good Stuff by Kenny Chesney, written by Craig Wiseman, and I can't remember who else, but um, he said, the good stuff in the beer, the whiskey, or whatever, it's dropping the ring in the spaghetti plate because your hands are shaking so much,
Yeah.
and he's getting engaged, and he's scared, but he didn't say
Yeah.
being nervous when you get engaged. It's like it's dropping the ring in the spaghetti plate because your hands are shaking so much. It
Yeah.
like gives so much of his mental state, the situation, all that just from a line of image. You don't
Yeah.
have to say I'm nervous or you being so nervous, asking her to marry you. You just show
Just
shaking
show me.
hands.
Show me. What does
Show
nervous
me, don't
look
tell
like?
me, right?
Yeah.
And you get all of it. It's like it's a spaghetti plate. He took her to an Italian place, a romantic place, right? You take her to the nicest romantic place I can, right? That's why it's spaghetti plate. It probably wasn't Fazoli's, you know? And he took her there, and I get like the whole thing. Like I see him dressed up, and he's, and in the Italian place, the romantic place, and he's pulling out the ring, and he's so, hands are shaking so much because he's so frazzled, he's so scared, and then he drops it in the spaghetti. I get all that.
Yeah, it happens.
It's
Yeah.
like, wow. And that's not how I proposed to my wife,
Yep.
but it doesn't matter. I get it emotional. Like, yeah, I remember where we were and how scared I was. I thought I was going to give it away
Yep.
because she was going to hear my heart pounding,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
You're trying to play cool as a cucumber and you can't, like,
And
you're
my
like, "Oh my
heart's
god."
just banging away. That's the power of imagery. It's not just like, oh, it's being nervous but asking her to marry you. Yeah,
Yeah.
but man, even taking me to somebody else's moment takes me to my moment. Um,
Yeah.
so don't tell me how you feel. Show me. I mean, there are only so
Yep.
many emotions anyway, right? So many. I mean, most songs are like, got the girl, lost the girl, want the girl back, don't want the girl back. It's mostly the same stuff. How do you make that stand out and be different with the images that you use? How many different ways are there saying, just back to the good stuff of saying, getting engaged? Well, most of the time we think little box, ring, down on one knee. Well, they even found,
Mhm.
which is better than just saying it's getting engaged, because even if you do the cliche thing, that is cliche because it's mostly true, right?
Mhm.
They even went a level above that and painted a super specific picture that gave away the mental state, the emotional state, without saying it, because they just showed it.
Mhm.
I mean, why do I remember that line?
Yeah.
Because it's
The
killer
imagery.
lines, the imagery. It's a picture in my head. I'm not just words I'm remembering. I'm remembering a picture.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, so this one's going long. A lot of stuff here.
Specificity.
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 Right. I mean, there are obviously many hits that weren't written like checking all 6 of these boxes, but from both my experience and observations, writing songs with these 6 qualities as your default setting is going to increase the commercial appeal of your song. Just in general,
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's a magic button like, oh, check all 6 boxes. Here's your cut, sir. No, it still needs that magic, still needs to be awesome. But if you write up tempo, write positive, write from me to you, write about love, write in the moment, and write with imagery, your songs will be taking steps in the right direction that overall give your song a competitive advantage that more fits what they're looking for. And I want you to
Yeah.
win. So I want you to know this. Put it on your own coffee cup, right? Put it on t-shirts, slap it on a bumper sticker, something. Get it in front of you, write it down, and put it in your writing notebook. So when you're going through, maybe it's the rewrite. You go, okay, I wrote as a ballad. Now can I up the tempo? Oh, I wrote that me singing about her. Can I make it to you? Can I do that? Can I change it to, where can I plug in some imagery?
Mhm.
So whether it's
Play with
better,
those play with those puzzle pieces.
exactly. Mix and match,
With
baby. If you can do all 6,
with
then great. You're in the ballpark. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
right for every song, but it's something to have that where you make that decision every song on purpose.
Yeah.
You do it intentionally. And then you make your choices as a creative, as a writer, and then you live with it. It may make your song more or less commercial, but at least you're doing it on purpose. You're not on
Yep.
autopilot, because writing on autopilot is not going to take you to new heights.
It is a craft. Be a
It
craftsman.
it is a craft for sure. Um, and hey, you know what? If you want to dive more deeply into this, come on over to songwritingpro.com/gift. Right now, the gift is a free ebook that details these 6 things and also has a lot more info that I picked up along my years in the music business. So that's songwritingpro.com/gift. Free ebook right now. It may change in the future to something else, but whatever it is going to be a little freebie for you. Just tell me where to send it. I send it to you. It's my gift to you, and it's going to help you on your journey. So I just encourage you to go there and see what we got for you.
There you go, guys. So that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast or follow it, depending on what platform you're on. Join the Climb community. We want to see you in there. We want to hear all about your wins. We want to hear about your gigs, the whole thing. And tell a friend about it. This podcast exists because we want you to win. Keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.